guys, it's Beth. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. So today we are doing the second part of the modern build in Oasis Springs, and we're focusing on decorating the interior today. So I would say this is actually probably where I struggle the most with builds. I definitely enjoy doing the exterior and the landscaping and things like that. Kind of more so than I do the interior. I think I just struggle. I kind of like doing the outside and I don't always think about the layout of the floor plan. So then when it comes to trying to do the inside, it can be a bit tricky to figure out what I should do. So yeah, you can see here I'm working on the kitchen. I ended up keeping the downstairs of this build like completely open plan. So there's a kitchen, there's a living room and dining area, and then I ended up putting in like a little coffee bar and a piano, and then the upstairs is 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, an office and like a walk-in closet and a gym. And then if you stay tuned towards the end of the video, you'll see there's also a kind of hidden basement. So there's a kind of hidden door downstairs behind the dining area that leads down to a basement which has the bowling alley, the cinema room and the photo studio in it. And I quite like that because I never really used basements, but actually it's a really easy way to hide a whole load of stuff kind of in a build that you don't really see without making the build, like, you know, to try and fit a bowling alley you'd have to build a giant house. So putting it in the basement is quite an easy way to get the effect without having to affect how big the build is. So you can see here I kind of have done this interesting layout with the stairs, and then I was just testing there to make sure that the floor plan upstairs was actually accessible and that my sim could get into all of the rooms. You'll see quite a lot, I think, in my videos that I do generally playtest quite regularly because I don't want to, I guess I've learned my lesson from the past of doing a whole build and then you get to the end and it's furnished and you realise your sim can't get into a room or something, and then it's really frustrating. So I generally try to make sure that everything actually works before I get too into the decorating, just to make sure that that I'm not going to have to go back and change anything afterwards. So yeah, I thought the reason I split this video into 2 parts is just because it was going to be super long, and I know sometimes watching like a longer video is fun, but I actually did a poll on my Twitter and asked whether or not people would rather watch one longer part or 2 kind of shorter, like say 15-minute parts. People generally said multiple shorter parts. I ended up managing to make it into 2, I think 20-minute, 25-minute videos, which is maybe a bit longer than I was intending, but I figured it kind of made the most sense to split it into the exterior and the interior. I did think about making like sort of 3 like 10-minute videos, but then I wasn't really sure how to split it into 3 parts, if that makes sense. I guess I could have done like the downstairs and the upstairs or something separately, but I figured 25 minutes isn't too long, so hopefully you will stick with me till the end. As I say, if you want to see the huge basement with the bowling alley and the cinema and stuff, I actually did quite interesting like tiered seating in the cinema rooms. If you want to see how I did that, then definitely stay tuned. That's towards the end of the video. But yeah, I went with these like industrial counters, which I think this is the first time I've ever used them. And I saw them in another build, like a kind of modern build, and I thought actually I quite like that kind of industrial look, so I ended up going with them for this build, and I really like how they came out. But I wouldn't normally use those counters. I think I usually use kind of the same ones. And if you watch my upload from the other day for the shell challenge, you'll see that since I did this build, I've now purchased Jungle Adventure, and I love the Jungle Adventure counters and cabinets and things, so I think you'll be seeing them in a lot of builds going forward. But these industrial ones are pretty cool. I do wish there was some more swatches. There's not that many colours of them, which is a little bit of a shame, but yeah, they're pretty cool. I quite like them. So yeah, that's what I went with, that kind of like really open plan, like industrial modern look for the kitchen. And then you can see there, again, I mentioned this in a previous video when I'm building, that I don't always do things in order necessarily. And I think if I'm scrolling through like the buy catalogue and I see something that looks good, I'll just put it down somewhere before I forget about it, and then I'll come back to it later. So that's why you'll see that I like hadn't planned on doing that basement, and then I saw the bowling alley and thought, oh, so I kind of just put it in the basement and thought, right, I'll come back to that later. So yeah, it's not necessarily that I plan these things, and I do kind of jump around when I build, and I mentioned that in a previous video. It's just, I think a lot of people probably build like that. Just as and when you see things that strike some inspiration, you then put them down and then come back to them. But it means otherwise I think I would probably forget about them, or I'd have to go looking for them again. So as and when I see things that look appropriate for the build, I just throw them in. So I guess in the same vein as that, you can see I've then come outside and started working on some lighting outside. I didn't mention, but in the bathroom, I recently discovered the Seasons shower and bathtub, and I really like how they look, so I'm using them a lot at the moment. And then this took me quite a long time, but I kind of knew what I was going for. I had seen, again, some videos on YouTube about making kind of like I don't know what the word is really, like a built-in fireplace, I suppose. And I had tried a few variations that I cut out because I thought you didn't need to go through the misery of watching me try and do. Like, I mean, there was so many different variations of this that I did, but in the end, I went with this kind of like cabinet selection. So, kind of put tall and short wall cabinets, and then duplicated them so they're back to back, so that you can't see the handles or anything. And then you put the little coffee table inside that's got the fire on it, so it doesn't really work like a fireplace, but it looks cool. And what I was trying to do there was actually to put the bonfire in. I don't know what I maybe need to try again now that I have outdoor retreat and I have the fire pits, and I need to try putting them inside, because when I tried the video I had seen, they put the bonfire in the little space to make it work like a real fire and kind of look like there's more flames, I guess. And the bonfires obviously are only meant to be placed outside, so it wouldn't let me do it. And I did try again, I think off camera, like I deleted the wall so that room was technically outside, and then placed it, and then when I put the wall back it would delete it. So I'm sure there's a way, as I say in the video that I watched, they definitely did put the bonfire in it, but it might well have been like an indoor, like an actual fire pit. I haven't tried that. As I say, at this point I didn't have those packs, so it was just using like the proper giant bonfire that I had sized down, and it just wouldn't let me place it. So I ended up just sticking with the coffee table. I think it looks nice. It gives the kind of effect that I was going for. It's very modern and minimalistic, so that's really what I was looking for. And yeah, I think I was really inspired by watching some of these videos. I know what video was that? In a previous video, I think maybe in the Solani speed build, I think Malin Designs is the YouTube channel, and they do so many tutorials about how to make kind of functional base game furniture out of various different things, and doing like the built-in like headboard out of cabinets and stuff. And I generally for a long time have not played like that. I just use things for their purpose. And you know, in the last part of this video outside in the kind of like seating area, I used the cabinets to make like built-in bench seating, and I hadn't done that before. And then that kind of inspired me to try this with the fireplace. So I'm definitely trying to try and make the builds more interesting. I think a big part of that is using things for purposes other than they're intended, and not just kind of sticking to what the items are for. So I ended up making this kind of whole built-in unit with a fireplace. I love these lights. Putting these lights in, and then I put shelves on, so you've almost got like a whole, I guess you would call it like an entertainment centre, out of kind of like the kitchen cabinets, which is really different, but I think it looks really effective, and it totally is functional. The shelves work and everything. I end up changing the mirror out for a TV because I figured you'd maybe want a TV here, but again, this is kind of like the mirror, and when I put the TV, the trick to get them to sit against the cabinets, because obviously they should only mount on a wall, is that you just move objects, you drag it out so that it doesn't snap to the wall, and then you just use the Control and 9 key to raise it up, and it works and it functions. I guess the sim probably thinks it's hanging in midair, but it looks like it's mounted on the cabinets. So again, using a variety of sheets, move objects, and resizing and raising and lowering things, you can really make almost anything in the game. The difficulty is, I guess, when it comes to doing things like bunk beds and stuff, they're quite tricky to make them functional. There are definitely videos like that, and I would really recommend, if you don't already and you want to get a bit more creative with your building, is to watch some videos of people doing things a little bit outside the box, because I definitely know that I'm really inspired watching these. And then this was something else that I actually just tried. This wasn't from a video, but I came across this kind of like illuminated display cabinet, I think it's called, in the buy catalogue when I was looking for something else, and I thought, I wonder if you could make that into like an open fireplace. And then I recently discovered this kind of like miscellaneous section in the surfaces section of the catalogue. I, for a long time, have played using the other sort option for the buy catalogue, which is like by room. But I feel like sorting it by type like that, you find more stuff that way. And in the miscellaneous section, there's all these pedestals that I think are meant if you have like a retail store. But they work really well as kind of like surfaces for things. So I ended up putting some at the bottom. I used the tool mod to lower the glass case down into the floor, and then I surrounded it with cabinets and with these like pedestals, and then put a little fireplace inside, which the sim can light, and it's totally functional. It's just a tiny version of it, but I think it looks so cool looking as like glass fireplace, so I'll definitely do this again. And if you want any tutorials on anything that I've done here that's a bit different, so like the fireplaces or the cinema room when we get to that, then just let me know and I'm more than happy to record those videos. I could easily do like a quick video explaining how to do this kind of thing. Because you'll have seen there's some tricks, like you'll see here when I placed wallpaper, it highlights anything that's been placed with move objects as yellow, and then they like disappear when you place wallpaper behind them. And I googled it and I couldn't really figure out what was going on there. So I think generally I would learn next time to like wallpaper the room first. Seems to be when you place anything on the walls, like behind the decorations, they then get moved or get deleted. So I don't know why that happened. It was a bit frustrating. I ended up just having to kind of accept it and put them back once I had placed the wallpaper. But you can see here again, I'm building like a big built-in like storage area for behind the bed. Probably got a little bit carried away with using the cabinets in this build. They're everywhere, and probably made the build, part of the reason the build costs like 230k is because there's kitchen cabinets in every room. But I just think it looks so cool and it's just a bit different. And I was trying here to do something, I thought like a built-in fish tank here would have looked really cool, but I ended up thinking it just looked a bit weird. I think maybe I don't have the right fish tank that I was wanting. I think there's a couple that are more modern maybe that I don't have. Don't know if they're like my first pet stuff or something, but yeah, the look I was going for I couldn't really get. So I just placed some more of these light boxes and then some little decorations and stuff, but I thought it looked cute. And then I placed a dresser over on the other side of the room because I figured I needed something over there. And I wanted to place a mirror over the dresser because I think genuinely you would have one, but obviously having a mirror like mounted on a window looks weird. It just didn't look right. That you wouldn't be able to hang a mirror there in real life. So I just left it and had the one against the wall instead, which I actually moved over to the other side of the wall and then placed the dresser over in the corner. I think it looked better. So again, yeah, I guess an example of the fact that there's a lot of trial and error when I'm building, and I generally place and replace things quite a lot until I'm happy with it, and I think that's fine. I think sometimes it's easy when you're watching YouTube videos, especially if they're quite edited, to think that, and I know I definitely fall into that trap of like comparing myself to other people when I'm building, and I watch people who build these like incredible $1 million mansions that are on this, the giant like 64 by 64 lots, and they seem to like just place everything the first time. There's no decisions being made, there's no like back and forward, and honestly I think they must just edit it out, because I don't believe that anyone builds and gets it exactly how they wanted it the first time. I think there must be some trial and error. So definitely, like, I think remember that if you're maybe new to building and you watch these videos and you think everyone just gets it perfect first time. Definitely not me, but I know when I watch other videos I have that thought that it seems to be quite easy for other people to know where to place things and they don't have to kind of try different options. I think they just edit it out. So definitely don't do that. Don't fall into the trap of comparing yourself, because either people have been building for a long time, or they have it all planned out in advance, or they've built it once before and then they record it the second time once they know what they're going to do. I think to see people kind of, these videos that I'm making are very kind of like, obviously they're edited, I cut out some stuff and I speed them up, but you're generally seeing, you can see I'm choosing 15 different paintings for this space. And I leave that kind of stuff in because I think it's more accurate in terms of how I've built it, and I don't want to post a video where it looks like it only took me 5 minutes. This build took me, I think, over 8 hours in total, not in one day. But, I take my time and I make sure I'm happy with stuff, and definitely, you have to make decisions about stuff, and you play something and then you go back and change it because you're not happy with it. Sometimes even I'll build something and then when I go to take the screenshots I don't think it looks right and I'll change it at that point. So things are definitely never like perfect the first time that you build them. So I try and leave some of that in because I think it's a more realistic representation of the building process for me. So I was trying to get these kind of outdoor spaces to work, and I wanted to have stairs, but then they were conflicting with the main staircase, and in the end I think I got something I'm happy with. I ended up connecting this deck to like the bit in front of the door. And again, I guess that's another example of build kind of evolving as you go. I was trying to make the staircase here 2 tiles wide, but for some reason the terrain was just conflicting. Sometimes I think there's things where you can fix that and you think I'll just flatten this terrain and it'll work, and sometimes I think there's times where it's just unexplainable like why things are not working. So you can see here I was trying with this pedestal for the fire pit because I thought it looked a bit more modern than using this debug object, but she couldn't light it, whereas also the debug objects the Sims don't see, and they like walk right through them and act as if they're not there because they're decorations. So putting the debug item on top of the bonfire meant that she could light it no problem, but for some reason putting the pedestal there, it was blocking her path. So I tried it because I had discovered those pedestals in the catalogue and I thought they looked cool, but again it didn't work out, so I figured it was better to have the debug object than to not have anything, so I went back to it. And again, now that I have outdoor retreat, I will probably go back to this build and put a proper bonfire in, and if you have outdoor retreat, feel free to do that. But I was working with what I had, and I think, again, probably an example of the fact that you definitely do not need like every pack to make a good build, and you can make things work with what you've got. So that was what I was trying to do, was just to make it work with the stuff that I had, which I do quite a lot, because I definitely don't have all the packs. I'm slowly building up the collection when things are on sale, but I don't have everything. And you don't need to have everything. You can definitely, if you search on YouTube for base game builds, you will see there are plenty of people building stuff like base game only, and you can make some incredible stuff, especially if you think outside the box a little bit. And I think if you use, the tool mod and the tricks to make stuff kind of look like more than what they are, you can definitely do quite a lot with just base game and with debugging things. So again, if you're new to The Sims and you're feeling pressured to like buy every pack because you see all these incredible builds, please don't feel that you have to. You can definitely do some awesome stuff just with the base game. And you'll see a lot of the time that I am just trying to make it work with what I've got. So you can see in that bathroom there, that's the season's shower and the season's bathtub. The bathtub I had used before, but I had never seen the shower. And I think I was watching a speed build where the person used that shower cubicle, and I thought it looked really cool with like the tiling and the glass. And I ended up, I think on the video, I kind of paused to see what the little icon was in the buy catalogue, and I thought, it's a seasons one, and I have seasons. So I went and found it in the catalogue. I don't know why I had never seen it before, but I've used it in like every build ever since, because I think it's such a nice shower. So yeah, unfortunately that is a seasons one. I will say, I know I've said that you don't need all the packs. There is quite a few packs in this build, just because I generally build with what I've got. So I'm going to try and do a base game build, and I actually might end up like uninstalling my packs temporarily, because I think it's really confusing when you're scrolling through the catalogue to not accidentally select things that are from another pack. You can be very strict with yourself to only use base game stuff. So I think it's probably easier if I just disable the packs while I'm doing that. So I will, if that's something you're interested in, then make sure to give this video a thumbs up so that I know that you want to see a base game build, and I'll maybe do that next. But yeah, so I do apologise, this is relatively pack heavy. As I say, I don't have them all, but there is a good few expansion packs and a good few stuff packs used in this build. But obviously if you want to download it and you don't have the packs, then the items just won't be there, and either the game will replace them with something else, or you can replace them with something else. You could definitely make this work without any packs, but just as a warning, if you're going to download it, there are quite a lot of pack contents used. As I say, I just wasn't really strict to myself, and I just use whatever I think looks right. But I will definitely do a base game at some point. I think that would be an interesting challenge for me, as well as maybe a useful video for someone who's playing just with the base game. And then I'm moving on to this kind of like hallway, because I had made the staircase so big, I ended up with quite a big space up here, and it felt weird. Normally, like the hallway, I would maybe put like a little like sort of console table or an end table, some flowers, like nothing particularly exciting. But it had this huge wall with nothing on it, and it just felt odd to leave it bare. So I ended up doing like a kind of gallery wall, which I've never done before. And I was kind of a bit intimidated by it. I thought it would be quite difficult, but it actually ended up being not that complicated. I ended up switching it out. I think I quite liked having it kind of opposite on each side, but I ended up, when I had finished the wall, I decided it looked weird to not have the shelves level, so I flipped it. Looking at it here, I actually quite like it this way. I think you could definitely do it either way, but I end up moving the shelf on the right down so that they're both at the same level. I just felt like it looked fine before, but when I put the pictures on it makes it look a bit weird, so as I say, I moved it back. But yeah, I think this like kind of like gallery wall idea looks really cool. And then I started putting these like garland things underneath, and then I think I decided it's too much and I take them off. I got a little bit carried away, but yeah, I put some plants upstairs, and I moved these plants around quite a lot because, again, they were kind of blocking the wall and I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted some sort of plants, so I ended up moving things around quite a lot, and I put a little light there. So yeah, I would have liked to have that mirror lower, and it really frustrates me. I think I've mentioned this before. I maybe could have used the tool mod for that actually, but the fact that the mirrors you can raise up, like mirrors and paintings and things, you can raise them above their normal height, but you can't lower them past their normal height. So if a mirror, like that mirror I really like, but it sits quite high on the wall and you can't lower it, and I don't know why, it really frustrates me. So I ended up having to put the light underneath, whereas normally you would have the light over the mirror, I think. But what can you do? You've got to make it work. And then here I had this idea for like a little coffee bar, which I thought would be really cute. So I just used some of the counters, and I like placed some debug objects. So you've got the little tea thing, which is like decoration, and then I've got the tea brewer, the coffee machine, the espresso grinder, and then I put these little like debug items. So some of them are like coffee shop items, so the little jug, the tamp, the takeaway cups, and then the two like glass jars are some sort of like the like instant sleep potion, or the whatever they are, like the two that were kind of like coffee coloured. So they're actually like, yeah, the potions, and I think your sim can drink them. I know I've used them before for gameplay if I need my sim to be angry for work or something, you can just drink them from the debug menu. But yeah, so that's what they are. So word of warning there, maybe don't have your Sims drink them depending on what they are. But they look like coffee, so they kind of fit the vibe. And then here I'm working on this little, I couldn't figure out what to do. I had this big centre space in between the staircase, and I kind of thought, I don't know what would make sense here. So I ended up going for this piano, and I never use a grand piano in builds because I think, where do you put it? But actually I think it looks awesome here. I was really happy with how it came out. And I ended up doing the microphone stand as well, so I thought that looked pretty cool. It's kind of like a little music area, so if you came into this person's house, they would be just entertaining you on your arrival, which was quite fun. And I liked that kind of like galaxy painting. I think that was maybe one I found in debug or something, and then it ended up deciding it didn't go with the colour scheme, so I changed it for something else. But I did think it was a cool painting, and I'll probably try and use it again in the future. And I love these. I just found these the other day as well. This was another thing I realised in someone else's video, that you can get these paintings that like lean against the wall, and I don't know why I hadn't seen them before, but yeah, I've used them quite a lot in this build because I thought they were super cute. So I'll definitely be using them more. Again, the things you learn, even if you think you know quite a lot about the game, when you start watching someone else's videos, you get all these ideas to try different stuff, or you see items that you didn't know existed, and then I think there's just such a benefit of this kind of community and of watching these videos, is that you just learn so much, even if you're like me and you've been playing for, 15 or 20 years and you think you know a lot about it, assuming you're as old as I am, potentially not. But yeah, I like to think I know quite a lot about the game, but I definitely learn stuff every day from watching YouTube videos. So that's kind of what I hope to achieve with this channel, is that maybe I can share some wisdom with people who are kind of new to building. But you can see here we're finally working on the basement. So yeah, and I don't think I've ever used the bowling alley item before, but kind of figured why not. So I had the space, I had the ability to put the basement there, I think especially because the pools weren't in the way or anything. So I just went for it. So yeah, I used all the bowling night stuff. So I used like the bowling alley, the lights, the table and the seats and everything, and the bar stools are all bowling alley stuff. So it's kind of all like bowling night stuff, sorry. They're all kind of like a theme, so they all match together. And I did the little like bowling ball racks and stuff. So I just think it'd be a really fun area for your sim to hang out, and it's the kind of thing you don't immediately see from upstairs, but if you know it's down there, you know it's down there. I thought it would be quite a cool little like surprise to have in the basement. And then I'm building a little photo studio again, and I think the photo studio object's quite big, so I never really have room to place it in like normal family homes, but I thought when I have the space I'm going to use it. So you can do little photo shoots with your Sims. So one of the reasons actually I quite want to get Moschino, I never know how you pronounce that, Moschino stuff, because it has the kind of like improved photography skill. Probably the only reason I would buy that pack, to be honest, but I'm quite interested in doing that, especially for like family photos. But you have a photo studio there anyway, and it does work. And then this is the cinema room. So I've done this in a few builds now actually. If I have kind of like an extra room and I don't know what to do with it, I usually make it into a cinema room. So I used these like separate, I was going to do couches, but I kind of thought these looked like the seats you would get in a cinema. They're like office chairs. So I went with them, and then again I used these pedestals to make like raised up seating. Now I will say, I don't know if I play tested it, but I doubt your Sims will be able to sit there. So in the event that you do actually have 8 Sims watching a film at once, or watching TV at once, then probably just delete those pedestals and have the chairs flat. But for visual effect, it looked quite cool. And then I sized down the pedestal to make a little step. So I mean, it looks quite realistic, I guess, like what you would get in the cinema. And then one of my new favourite tricks is to use like the LED strip lighting underneath. Again, because I guess the step would be illuminated, so you wouldn't trip in the dark. So I tried to kind of make it like quite realistic, which is quite fun. And I put a games console in there as well, so you can play games on the giant screen. So we're just about to come up on the screenshots, so I'm going to go ahead and cut off right here. This slot is available to download on the gallery if you want to. I'll leave it linked down below. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe and do all that fun stuff. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye!